Minecraft just released a brand new snapshot today. This is 25W19A, and it brings some changes to precision when it comes to projectiles. Hello there, right here, and let's check out what this all means. Minecraft changed the accuracy of arrows today, as well as every other projectile in the game. You guys ever notice when you try to shoot a target, even if you aim at the exact same spot when you shoot, there's a little bit of margin of error. I mean, the arrow can kind of shift, and this tolerance margin was 0.3 blocks. Took a shift a little bit to the right, left, up, or down, a third of a block. And you can see, even though I didn't move my bow, we got a bunch of different arrows all over the place. But what changed today is how this tolerance applies when it comes to distance. In the past, if you were close to what you're trying to hit with the arrows and you would shoot, you would still get this tolerant margin even if you're really close to your target. That changed today, so now when you shoot the first 2 game ticks that the arrow flies through the air, there will be no moving back and forth, so it will directly hit its target every single time. And then after the first 2 game ticks, then the arrow will start to have a little bit of margin where it's starting to move a little bit to the right, left, up, or down, but only going to move by 0.05 blocks for every game tick after the first 2 as it flies through the air. And what this means for the player is that the farther you are, the more likely the arrow is to kind of stray off of the initial target. And how far it strays away will continue to increase the longer the arrow is flying through the air. And I'll keep incrementing it by that 0.05 blocks until it reaches the original 0.3 blocks. So if you're shooting really far in this version compared to the previous one, the arrow will shift the exact same distance. So these new changes will help a lot when you're closer to a target, and will help a little bit when it's a medium distance, and only when it's really far will it just seem just like before. And this change applies to all projectiles, so like tridents. When you throw snowballs, they're going to be more accurate up close. We also got potions which can be thrown, wind charges, even crossbows, including rockets and eggs, and even ender pearls. All likes are welcome on the video. So if you study the spread of the arrows, this is what it looks like in the previous version. And this is the same distance, and this is what it looks like now. So in this example where I stood 7 blocks away, you can see we got arrows kind of sitting in a few different pixels. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, about 4 pixels tall and about 2, 3 pixels wide. So they did spread a little bit. And if we compare this to the current version, it looks very similar. We got about 4 pixels high and 3 pixels wide. But this change only applies for the first 2 game ticks the arrow flies to the air. So if we would actually aim over here and then freeze the game, once it's frozen, if we go ahead and shoot an arrow, it's just gonna stick right where it gets summoned in. You can see it gets summoned in right in the center of me. If you turn on hitboxes, right up there by my head, there it is right there, and it's summoned in, and it's shooting towards the target. And if we go ahead and move out of the way, we can watch it. So if we make the arrow go forward 1 game tick, step, that's how much it moves in just 1 game tick, which is incredible. And then the second game tick, it pretty much is about to hit it. Remember, any game tick after the second, that's when it starts getting a little bit of like a margin of error. According to its directional thing, which is this blue thing, it looks like it's gonna hit right there. And if we let it go ahead and move forward 1 more game tick, you can see it did move a little bit where it was gonna hit like right in here and end up hitting a little bit over here. So in order to avoid getting any of the margin of error, you need to be under 7 blocks from your target. So the tolerance margin doesn't seem very noticeable between the 2 versions. And a third block in accuracy is about 5 pixels, which means we expect the arrows to hit in about a 5 by 5 pixel area. So now shooting just with 2 block distance, I shot in 10 arrows, and you can see all the arrows are piling up there, and they all hit a very small area. And if we do the same thing in this new version, it looks like they hit pretty much the exact same area as previous version. But this change also applies to all entities in the game, so like skeletons and them shooting. This is my music disc farm. We got a little creeper farm up here, and then we have a skeleton which is trying to shoot at this iron golem over here. And despite there being a couple soul sand pieces in between them, it can actually see through the very top pixel of the soul sand here, as well as this one. And because the little red lines are lined up with each other, this guy can see the iron golem and will actually try to shoot towards it, which means if this skeleton was really precise, he could actually shoot an arrow right through that hole, right through this hole here, and actually hit it. But because he sees the iron golem as being really far away, he knows he needs to shoot a little bit higher, and therefore he aims higher, ends up just hitting the block above it. But in this test, we can see how accurate the skeleton's arrows are. We can see they're kind of all over the place. This is partly due to the skeleton moving back and forth. You can see he's either on the left side or the right side. So he has kind of two different groupings. The groupings themselves are pretty close together, but not super tight. But let's compare this to the newest version. Okay, let's go ahead and let them start shooting each other, and we'll see how this piles up. So it's been shooting a little while, and once again it looks like it groups it up very similar to before. So it seems that this change isn't going to make a huge difference, as 0.05 per tick would mean that after the first 2 ticks of no inaccuracy, with an additional 6 ticks of it flying through air, it should be the exact same accuracy as the prior version. Plus for projectiles that don't come from the player, like llama spit, we also got the 2 different types of wither skulls, shulker bullets, we also got blaze and gas fireballs. Even stuff like the dragon fireball and the warden's sonic boom are also considered projectiles. So with this change, we expect all mobs that shoot projectiles to also be more accurate when shooting up close. Now this also comes into play with my crazy one-hit machine using breeze wind charge to make an insane rail cannon. And since this guy also shoots projectiles, bringing the breeze charges, and since I'm collecting them really close to the actual breeze, it means there shouldn't be any inaccuracy when they come out. So this is what it looks like in the previous version. Well, let's see if this changes when we update to the newest snapshot. Okay, we are in this updated version. And it looks like when it does get stacked, there's a little bit right and left to it as well. So it doesn't seem that it stacks perfectly on top of each other. And that's why we have these extra 2 pistons to align it the other 2 directions. By the way, shortly after making this machine, they did change it so that the breeze charges were not hitting all as a single group. There is a fix to that, which is using water to push them, and I did put that down in the description of the video, so if you guys are trying to get yours to work again, that's the current fix, but I'll eventually get around to fixing this. But just watching it in this version here, it does seem like all the wind charges kind of hit all at once, so I think it's working once again. Now, not only is this machine great for one-hitting all the different things in the game, including the Ender Dragon, Wither, and even the Warden, but it can also be used as a railgun to launch arrows really fast, as well as Ender Pearls really far. And I'll put the video that's all about this machine in the description if you want to check it out later. But I don't think this change applies to dispensers, because dispensers have their own little inaccuracy when it comes to the things that come out of them. And dispensers don't just shoot out like arrows, I mean they can also shoot out blocks, and the direction the blocks get thrown out can also have some inaccuracies as well. Because this is what it looks like before and after the change. You see all the arrows there, and now this is what it looks like, very similar. YouTube says you might not be subscribed. Now one of the uses for this change would be players loading projectiles into different machines. That way you have the entity end up directly where you shoot it. You don't need to like align it using any pistons. This should let us simplify things like Ender Pearl launching and using wind charges when it comes to launching yourself. But this would also mean that enemies such as like withers shooting their projectiles would be more accurate when they're close up. So you're probably going to die more when it comes to fighting things. Now from the testing, it doesn't seem too noticeable, but if you guys notice something, let me know. But overall, I think people are going to be happy that the inaccuracy occurs over longer distances rather than if you're shooting something like right in front of your face. But what do you think about this? Today also came with changes for the fog. So in the past, fog was really determined by your render distance. With higher render distance, you were able to see further, and therefore the fog would change with it. So now, besides getting a render distance fog, which is like a little cylinder around the player, meaning that it gets foggy along the edges, but if you look like straight down, it won't get like foggy underneath you, so you can go up really high and still see underneath you quite well, even though you can't see too far away because of the fog on the sides. But on top of that, we also got an environmental fog. This is the same type of effect like when you go into water, how it kind of changes your distance of how far you can see and your perspective. Essentially, you're running into fog down in the water. But this fog is just atmospheric fog, meaning that when you come up here, this is like a new environment, and you get a fog along with it. And this type of fog is different as it's a big sphere around the player, meaning that if you're looking up at the top of a mountain, notice that even though I'm moving away from the mountain, the top of the mountain gets foggier before the bottom. Overall, this just makes stuff look more realistic. And now when it rains, it's gonna become foggier. Look how foggy it is, holy muggers. That is crazy. Which makes it actually feel like you're in a heavy rainstorm. And this also applies when there is a thunderstorm. I actually think this looks pretty cool. It also makes the raindrops look less weird, just falling through the air. And when it goes clear again, let's see the difference. The rain's removed. Yeah, you can see much better now. Let me know what you think of the fog changes. They added it so that if you would kill the owner of the thing that's controlling the Vex, and then if the Vex would lose their target, the Vex will now no longer switch over to attacking other mobs like villagers, which is nice inside of like your raid farms. If you light a TNT by the player, it has a player name on it, meaning that you get XPs from things that it destroys, similar to you killing them yourself. But the problem is, if you would reload the game while the TNT was lit, it would forget who actually lit it, and therefore it would act like a normal redstone TNT that was lit by only redstone means. So now we'll remember who lit it and give any special loot or XPs if needed. Now besides this change, they also came in and fixed several other bugs related to similar things where different entities would forget who summoned them or who did something, and now they will remember all of that. You will no longer stay lit for a long period of time if you just barely touch the fire, so it's no longer as dangerous as before. In the past, dogs would automatically sit when the player went to a different dimension that was their owner, but in the most recent versions, this would not happen. So they went ahead and reverted it back so it will work like before. And this snapshot also came out with a bunch of bug fixes that covered a wide variety of different things. Now Bedrock Edition also got their snapshot, which is called betas, and they got the super flat presets that we have in Java Edition. Now this year's April Fool's was all about having custom worlds, which made me think that we're going to get more options in making custom worlds. Now we haven't got anything new for Java Edition, but since now Bedrock now has the same presets as Java Edition, it does look very promising that they're then going to come out with some new custom world options for both Bedrock and Java Edition at the exact same time. What do you think about this? And as predicted, the new cape is out for you guys to get. This is called the Common Cape. It's the one that has a little grass top and then the dirt bottom. Essentially just a grass block that's really zoomed up on. And the way you get this just by logging into the Minecraft game using your Microsoft account on any Bedrock Edition device. So essentially when you log in, it should say Microsoft account. And then instead of playing like Java, make sure you have the launcher that has both of them so you can easily come in here and just play Bedrock Edition. And then by clicking play, your player should automatically be signed in. And if you go to profile, dressing room, down here where the cape is, and right here is the cape. It says failed to select item. And the system seems a little bit slow as everybody's probably getting their cape all at once, but I was able to select it and I can click equip. Yeah, and essentially if you already have a Microsoft account, then getting the cape is pretty simple. And then the article goes on to explain all the benefits of having a Microsoft account. What I don't understand is that I thought everybody already had to switch over to a Microsoft account back when they did the whole push where if you didn't switch your account over, then your account got deleted. And maybe somebody in the comments can explain how exactly do people actually have accounts that are not Microsoft accounts. But the other thing that this might be encouraging is just getting people to actually log into Bedrock Edition devices. So if you're someone that just keeps playing Java Edition, this would kind of encourage you to at least hop on and play Bedrock Edition. But if you are someone that's not logged into your Microsoft account when playing the game, they do have kind of like a walkthrough tutorials here, which I'll link this article down in the description. And this cape is for both Bedrock Edition and Java Edition, so it will appear in Java Edition if you first collect it in Bedrock Edition. And it says it might take up to 15 minutes for the cape to show up, so be patient. And getting this cape is a limited time thing. It's from now until next year, this exact same time. So you got a whole year to get it, but you might as well just get it now. But overall, I really just don't understand what they're trying to promote here. I'm guessing it's something to do with pushing players to check out all the different Bedrock Edition things, including like their marketplace. But if you understand what they're trying to promote here, let me know down below. I'll be looking for tricks and glitches in the latest snapshot, and I do this live over at my Twitch stream, which you can check out with the link below. All the names you see on screen are of my supporters, which I really appreciate, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye!